Hey everyone, quick little announcement here from Fishing the DMV. Our club membership on Patreon is nearly full. There are only I'll repeat, four membership spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and I'll be closing down the club membership to new members until 2026. At that point, you can try to sign up, but it'll be at a higher rate. All Patreon members will receive 5% off their orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off their orders to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off their orders to Catoctin Creek Rods. You'll also gain access to our private Facebook group community. You'll also be allowed to enter our 5 club membership tournaments only with guarantee payouts, members only content, ad-free, commercial-free episodes of the podcast, Patreon supporter giveaways, and so much more. And you get all of this for $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Cincos or a jackhammer chatterbait. And since we're under our 10 membership spot, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to give everyone a 10% off their membership if they sign up for the year. So that brings it down to under $65 a year, locked in indefinitely as long as you want to be a member. Hurry up because there's only so many spots left before I shut down the club to any new members until 2026.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Fishing the DMV. I'm your host, Thomas Ahrens, and today I have a guy that is absolutely tearing it up. He has fished close to 28 tournaments this year, over 20 checks cashed. Ben Dalton. Ben, thank you so much for coming back on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having me.
You have been putting in the work and paying the mortgage with a fishing rod this year. I guess the straight up question is, what do you think of your year so far, reflecting on it right now in early May?
Consistency. Haven't got a major win, but it's been consistent. I've had a very consistent year so far. Fishing just, BFLs or fishing by myself or fishing team tournaments with my dad. Me and my dad was actually talking about it the other day that I think we have fished like 15 team tournaments and we've got a check in 14 of them. No, it would have been 13 out of 15. The James River got us twice. Other than that, we've cashed a check.
Do you believe it's momentum? Like, what do you think leads into these roles that people get on?
Momentum's got a lot to do with it, but just putting time on the water and staying, with the fish, I think it's got a lot to do with it.
Staying with the fish is a big one, which gets down to time on the water, which is kind of, this is really off on a side tangent. When you have these pros that have been doing it for 100 years bitching at the kids, part of it is like, okay, you got all these sponsorship obligations now. You don't get to fish as much. Whereas if you are a 22 McKinney and all you get to do is sleep out of your truck and fish, no shit, you can like stay with the patterns and have a pulse on what's going on in the area. And I know people will be like, well, you're not allowed to fish that. Like, yeah, but if you have a tournament on like Hartwell, you can go to the lake above or below to get kind of semi-dialed. Like I know people that will go, if Potomac River, you'll go to the Upper Bay. You can do things to kind of get yourself ready for events.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've mainly fished Lake Gaston and bugs this year. I've been on the James 3 times and I've been to Smith Mountain, I've been to Falls Lake. Other than that's about it. Like this year I've stayed pretty local. I ain't went off nowhere.
Gaston is crazy because the last time we talked was at the Richmond Fishing Expo. And we talked about Gaston, like, hey, it's getting pretty good. And then this guy called McCluskey decided to go down there and catch like 28 pounds or some stupid ass thing out of Gaston.
I finished third in that tournament and had 23.
It was preposterous what he was able to. I didn't know that kind of weight swam in there. And so that's really cool to think that you have that kind of greenfish population along with those big spots right now in Lake Gaston.
All right, so this is over like a 3-week span. In 4 days out of one area, I caught 82 pounds out of it.
Jesus.
Like within sight of one area.
That's nuts.
And I caught my personal best. I caught my personal best spot in practice down there for the Bass Nation was like a 5:48 or something like that. So yeah, almost 5.5 pound spot. So it's a bunch of them in there.
Is this the best Lake Gaston has fished the last couple of years, you think?
I would say yes. It's a lot of water willow in this place now, and I think it really helped the largemouth population because this lake had hydrilla in it years ago, and they sprayed and killed it all.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, the downfall of it kind of happened then. But I think the water willow has really helped this lake because they leave Gaston at a stable level, other than bugs. Bugs, that place can fluctuate 2 foot in 2 days, But Gaston keeps up. And it's also a lot of lily pads in this place now, especially on the upper end.
That's awesome. I remember in high school there used to be grass and lily pads, and then I went back there a couple of years ago and it was like freaking decimated. So that's awesome that that's coming back.
Yeah. There is some hydrilla and milfoil in like some areas on the upper end, but it's not really plentiful.
Dude, if the water willow and the lily pads stay, that means you're just the largemouth are just going to get bigger and better. Like that's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
Wow. That's the thing too. We talk about bugs. Like, I mean, I know guys, if you're listening, I shit on that lake a lot, but if they would have a water willow or lily pads or something, and maybe you can't because of the water fluctuation, I think that would really help that place out. I mean, again, the spots are getting bigger at Kerr, but it's taking the time to kind of get that population bump up there.
I've said it for the last couple of years. What hurts Kerr Lake is the lack of cover.
Yeah.
It's just, you go to a Hartwell, it's wide open, but it's got docks and it's got a million cane piles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bugs, it's got like 40 docks and some old brush piles. You know what I mean? It's just not a lot of cover in that lake anymore. Like, I talked to like the older guys that fished it like back in the day, and I mean, they talked about like the stump bite, and then you had hydrilla in it at one time, and I mean, it's just no cover. It's just the bottom is just flat everywhere, unless there is a stump or a rock pile or something like that.
Does that give people like you and a Tyler Trent more of an advantage at Gaston or Kerr when you have a place like, let's say like Kerr, it's smooth as a baby's ass. There's like one stump, and if you're able to find 30 of them over a couple of years of fishing the place, that probably gives you a big advantage.
Oh yeah. There's one place in particular that I can think of that I have never seen another human being fishing. Like I've seen people like ride over top of it and stuff, and I can literally, if the fish are offshore, I can literally go there and catch at least 2 off of it almost every single time. Now I don't know what they're going to weigh. They might be small. You're liable to pull up there and catch a 6-pounder though, because that's happened.
I'm pleasantly surprised though with Bug's weights recently. I mean, I know Trent just won with 17, but the college
guys freaking blew it out, man. They had some really good weights. I was highly surprised.
I got to bring that up actually. Honestly, Bassmaster College.
The guys that won it had 17 something the first day, and then almost 21 the second day.
Yep, 21 pounds. My goodness. And then a bunch of 17 pounds to win, 14 pounds all the way to cash a check. You had in your big third place, you had 15, 17s across the board. And there was also a really nice 20-pound bag in the first BFL of the year there. I mean, the weights aren't bad for that place right now. I remember years past where it did take 9 pounds to cash a check. So they are bumping up, but it just feels like it's taking forever, so many years to just slowly creep all those weights up there to where, and I've said this before, it's a problem with like Chesapeake Bay. Yes, you can catch 28 pounds to win, but you can also cash a check with 10. Like there's a huge disparity from the high end to that last check range. And I'm curious to see how long it's going to take Bugs to just slowly creep up to where it does take 15 pounds to break a top 10, but it's coming.
Yeah, it is. It's fished good this year. I've caught, I don't know, 5 or 6 over 5 pounds out of there this year, which is pretty good, for that place.
is how important is the unicorn, the Bugs Island unicorn, to having success there?
Man, we've said it for years. If you catch 1 4-pounder, you're close to a check. If you catch 2, you definitely get 1. If you catch 3, you in the mix. And I've always said that about that place since I've been tournament fishing it.
Is that different than Gaston? Is Gaston more of a, as long as you can catch a solid limit of spots and actually win there, or you can catch largemouth and win, versus Kerr, it seems like you're literally just hunting for that green 4-pounder?
My experiences on Gaston, you can, with the quality of spots that are in here, you can win with a limit of spots, but you have got to be dialed in on them, you know, because there's some big largemouth in this place. There's a whole lot of largemouth between 7 and 5 pounds. You know, so I mean that's
crazy.
And my best day here with spotted bass, I had 21 pounds with 5 spotted bass. So
that's really good. Like I can't even remember right now in recent memory the best spotted bass bag at Bugs Island. I don't think it'd really sniff that.
No, and like the biggest spot that I've caught out of Bugs is like a 3.5 to maybe like a 3 3/4. Like I have not caught like a big spot. Now they're in there, you know, and I'm hearing tales that there's some smallmouth being caught on that Clarksville end of the lake now a lot too. Like more frequent than it used to be.
Yeah. Well, because I remember always back at when they had the fall regionals there, that was the thing, is you could run all the way up to Stanton or whatever. You're allowed to bring back, was it 1 smallmouth over 20 inches or something, because they have some stupid ass rule for smallmouth. Yeah. So people would run up there, catch their 1 smallmouth and bring it back. But yeah, it's these rumors and stuff. I know when this video drops in a week and a half, there will be so many people saying you're full of shit. Like I one time 10 years ago caught a 20-pound bag of spots out of Kerr. But my point is like consistency. Like, yeah, it might happen every now and then, but it's crazy that like, I don't know if there's just not enough fish for the size of the lake or what it is. It's just such a weird deal where there are good largemouth and spots in Kerr, but it just doesn't seem like there's as many as the size of the place allows. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of 2-pounders in that. It's a lot of 2-pounders in Bugs Island.
Yeah.
Which you show up in April and throw a spinnerbait on some of them banks. I mean, you catch 40, 50 fish, and every one of them's 2 pounds.
And I'm speaking from some PTSD there, but is that part of the strategy? Like I mean, we can get into it. Like with your 3rd place finish, is it, if you catch a 2-pounder, do you leave, or is your thought you got to weed through them and hopefully you hit pay dirt?
Okay, so I finished 3rd in the BFL, and the weekend before that, I won an ABA tournament there. So I pull up onto my 1st place, which is, you know, a normal, like that time of year place that I like to stop. 1st place, pull up, fish it, nothing. So I just keep the trolling motor down. I go into like the pocket off of the main lake. I catch 2 like 2-pounders out of this one pocket, and I'm like, yeah, I know I know what I'm looking for is going on, and this ain't it. So I pull the trolling motor, and I keep running up the lake. I set the boat down. The 1st place I set the boat down, I make 3 casts and catch 2 3-pounders. And I'm like, okay. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. So I just keep running that same pattern, just working my way up the lake, and, you know, ended up having like 17 something that day to win that tournament.
How much of that is with the Kerr bite? How much of that is just right place, right time, that you show up and there's a 3-pounder versus a 2?
A lot. If you're fishing the bank, you know,
okay.
You know, sometimes, you know, you're fishing offshore, and like we were talking before, man, I hadn't had my live scope on but like twice since like the 2nd week of March. So I'm like, I hadn't even really been looking, you know, offshore, anything, you know. I don't necessarily bed fish, but I'm sight fishing. I'm not bed fishing. And if I catch one off the bed, I'm not really meaning to, but I'm sight fishing.
Is that just personal choice to not do the scope? Is that where you're more comfortable, is doing the bank thing?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because like in that ABA tournament, like if I like notice things happening like visually, dude, I know it's going on somewhere, and I'm going to end up catching some fish. You know, I'm going to end up catching a big one doing it too.
How much water, though, do you have to cover to make that work?
A lot. The guy I drew in the BFL, I told the guy, he was an older guy, and I was like, dude, I move fast. I was like, I will tell you, like, I'm going to fish to, like, say this tree in the water or this point coming up, and I'm moving. Okay. About the third time I moved, he was like, man, you ain't lying. You do move fast. And I was like, yeah, I need you to be like that. Because, I mean, he was a good guy and everything, but that guy literally cost me probably like 45 minutes of fishing time that day.
That's a strategy, man. I mean, that's a North Carolina, South Carolina cane pole, 3-cast move on the piles. Is that the vibe that I'm getting from what you're doing, or is it more of just trolling motor down, burning up shoreline like John Cox?
Yeah, trolling motor's on 100%. My batteries are cooked by the time I get done.
I mean, that's the thing is people talk the forward-facing sonar deal, and maybe I truly believe that's more like for the elite level stuff and maybe some of the BFLs down on the TVA system. But there are so many tournament winners that I have that are winning on the bank, beating the bank still. You can still do it. And that's why John Cox makes his money. I mean, I think he has like, 6 trolling motor batteries in most of his boats right now. So he can just flip a switch and keep going. Like, you just have to cover an ungodly amount of water that people don't comprehend.
Oh yeah. That brings up a good point. I had a guy fish with me on the James, like back at the end of March, and he wanted to go up there with me, and we're on the way home that afternoon, and he was like, I learned 2 things about fishing with you today. I said, well, what's that? He's like, 1, I'm not fishing shallow enough. 2, I'm not fishing fast enough. I was like, man, I will turn up dirt. I have to keep an extra prop. I have to keep an extra prop for my trolling motor. I'll bust one of them in a heartbeat and have to throw it off and put another one on.
When you're dealing with super duper shallow water, how important is stealth with what you're doing? Are you really having to sneak into these areas that are dirt shallow, or are you just making bomb casts and just keeping distance between you and your target?
Yeah, it's like, that was something else that guy brought up, was like casting angles. He was like, I learned a whole lot about casting angles fishing with you. And that is, when you're bank fishing, like, you can look down a bank, especially at bugs. Like, this is just a pattern thing, and it's hard for me to explain, but I can literally look down a bank and I can tell you exactly where a fish is going to be sitting at before I get there. So I make that cast. If I don't get bit, I'm looking for the next place that is going to possibly have one. And I'm just making longer cast. Now, when the fish come up to bed and they're in pockets, you got to slow down a little bit, try to be a little quieter. You don't want to be banging around. That fish, he's over there hiding in some shade somewhere, just trying to hide for a minute. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm.
So during the ABA and the BFL, was this was this full spawn, or was this still pre-spawn, a little bit of post-spawn? What kind of stage were they in back then?
Nope, every one I caught was pre-spawn.
Damn, in April too. That's crazy. But again, the winter was cold as shit, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, every one of them I caught was pre-spawn on shad spawn.
That's nuts, man. Because I remember, was it like this time last year, they were like all post-spawn, back in early April, that is. But again, we had a warm winter. That winter messed them up big time. Go for it. Yeah,
so I figured out like one area of the lake that the shad were spawning in. And dude, in that ABA, I had it to myself, like completely. Like I seen like 2 boats the whole day. And then in the BFL, I really didn't have anybody fishing around me either then. Like, didn't see but like 2 or 3 people.
Which lake and body of water do you think is more crowded? We're not going to talk about the Potomac because that always wins. The James, Gaston, or Kerr, which one do you feel like you get more buddy-buddy with competition?
Fishing pressure?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk fishing pressure and not crowded. Because Gaston, man, it's got 500 darn jet skis and wake boats and no bugs. Most definitely bugs. Whole lot more fishing pressure on bugs.
That's crazy. Because it's, for people that don't know, it's like 3 times the size. And yet, yeah, you have all that boating pressure. Which, I guess because you're not fishing the offshore deal, are you playing any defense, or is it just constantly keeping new water in front of you?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely like that. Unless like a stretch is like really good, I may double back through it. But dude, it's 95% like just new water and just knowing, from experience. Like, I don't know, I fish bugs so much like at this time of year that I can kind of read like what's going on. Like if I see certain things, I know like what adjustments to make then, or which areas to go to.
And that's just time. That's just years and years of experience to get that kind of vibe for a lake that big.
Yeah. And I was, somebody else may have seen it, but like I fished the bass regional on the James, and, I would have figured when I come back from it to Gaston, I would have seen a shad spawn going on. I looked for it for 2 mornings and covered the whole damn lake and never seen it going on. So it had to have happened early. Somebody else may have seen it, and it may be like just isolated or something like that, but I never seen a shad spawn happening at Gaston.
I wonder why.
I don't know. Like I said, it must have happened in that window that I didn't fish, because I live like 0.3 miles from the boat ramp, but I didn't fish it for like 10 or 12 days.
To do uber stupid basic 101 stuff for people that are listening, how do you find the shad spawn without scope? We all know how to do it with scope. You point the damn thing and you'll see it. But is it more of just the quivering of the water, things like that in general, whether you're on Gaston, Kerr, Toledo Bend, whatever?
The number one thing I look for is shad following my bait back. When you see shad following your bait back, dude, it's going on. It's happening. The fish are on them somewhere. You just have to start bouncing around to find like where the actual fish are. You could go down a bank and there'd be a million shad on it. It ain't one damn bass there, though.
Mm-hmm.
You catch you a drum, he'll be up there eating them. They have freshwater drum. You catch one of them, some bull crap, catfish or something. But you will run into them. Like when you see them shad following that bait, you're going to run into them somewhere. You just have to fish enough places as it's actively happening. Because as soon as the sun hits it, it's over with after that.
Do you then rerun the same areas, or do you then segue off to like offshore deals, generally speaking?
I tell you what I've done in the ABA is like I ran shade lines until like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I literally caught them on the shad spawn from daybreak until like 1 a.m. And as it progresses into the spring, that window gets smaller and smaller and smaller. But if you have a day to where it's overcast, it could happen all day.
Yeah.
But, keeping your bait in the shade is the number one tip, I guess I'll put there.
Guys, there you have it. And then Billy Cole's talked about this at Smith. It's the same thing. You got to get up early. It's the time of year where you want to get up at dark almost. Go do some detective work. Billy Cole's even mentioned like going out and looking for docks with lights on them and stuff if you really want to get that sketchy, which is easy at Bugs because there's like 6 docks. So it's easy to find them.
It ain't many docks. There's some docks in Clarksville in that area. And then once you get down into the Nutbush, Saprowhite and all that stuff, you get a lot of docks down there. But I know, I heard on this last BFL, it was kind of a shad spawn somebody had run into, on that lower end of the lake. But it just was very, like, it seemed like after the window where I caught them on the shad spawn, it got just very sporadic. Like, you would have to run, like, you would have to get lucky and, like, set the boat down in the perfect area to find it happening. It wasn't a widespread thing.
The blueback bite should be starting to gear up here for whatever blueback are actually in that stupid lake, but that's not like a Hartwell blueback bite or a Murray blueback bite for sure.
No, the water ain't clear enough. The water just never gets clear enough. You might see 5 foot of visibility in Nutbush, like with no rain. I would say 5 to 6 feet max, maybe. And that would be in September, and it hadn't rained since May. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Army Corps of Engineers told me like that place is basically the toilet bowl of the area. Everything gets flushed down there, so and that's not going to change.
And Gaston doesn't get clear. Like it's still like green tint. It's like that real green tint water, like in Gaston. Like back in January and February when we were catching all in fish, like the area I was fishing was the cleanest water on the lake, and it might have been 4 foot of visibility at the time, maybe.
How are the blueback population in there?
Well, the only way that I can determine, that I've heard how you determine like a school of blueback between a school of like, let's say we call them peanuts, those little thread fin or whatever, is how they position themselves on the live scope. Like the blueback will be like more of a cone on the live scope. Like when you turn and look and like you see a school and it's like just from the bottom all the way to the surface, just, parallel or vertical. And then, your bigger, like your gizzard shad and your thread fin will just be like a ball on the screen. And there's some blueback in Gaston. There's a whole lot more in bugs, though.
And you're right, though. Unless that water quality really changes to where you get it cleared up, I don't know if it'll be a true blueback lake, but I don't know. Who knows? The spots are getting bigger in there, and if they're getting bigger, it's probably because of the blueback, honestly. So, who knows with that size lake how long it's going to take for those populations to grow to the point where it becomes a primary deal. But it's heading that way for sure.
Yeah, I don't think you'll ever see it. I don't think you'll ever see the water clarity change, from what it is now. It's just the two rivers that feed it. It's so much clay. There's so much clay in them rivers, and I mean, that's where that color comes from, is that clay.
And it's interesting what you also said earlier. Like, will this do like a Kentucky Lake deal, and the smallmouth population will take off? Like, who knows? Like, granted that had Asian carp and current other variables, but still.
I don't know. I don't know if you'll see that, but like last fall in the cattails, there were literally like 3 tournaments won back to back with limits of smallmouth.
That's crazy. Wow.
And I mean, there was 5 or 6 guys like running way up in them rivers and catching them. I mean, they were going to kick your teeth in. Like, I mean, it was going to be 20 pounds every time, and it was going to be smallmouth.
That's a hell of a run too.
Oh yeah, you tear your stuff up, especially that time of year.
Yeah,
I mean, dude, it's like that deep running up through there.
Yeah, man, and it's weird because I'm shocked that more those custom aluminum boats never played on bugs like they did on a lot of those TVA lakes, like Cherokee, Douglas, places like that. And maybe it's because of the weird ass smallmouth limits they have there, but it seems like that place sets up so good for going to it with a weird aluminum rig you can run all the way up the Stanton or the Roanoke River if you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you now, if I win a big tournament and I got some extra cash laying around, that's going to be the first purchase right there.
Mm-hmm. It makes sense.
I don't care if it's got a tiller steer on it. I'm going. I'm going.
So, if you had to compare and contrast your third place with your ABA win, what did you do right and what did you do wrong?
What I done right is I did not lose a fish in either tournament.
Ooh, damn!
I did not lose a key fish in either tournament. I mean, the difference between the BFL, I mean, I just got outfished by the 2 guys in front of me. That's just the best way I can put it. I caught everything that bit. So I just didn't put it in front of a 5-pounder. I needed a 5-pounder. So,
I mean, because 15 pounds, I mean, Caden had 17 pounds. I mean, you're right. It's like, again, we keep getting back to that, guys. If you're going to fish bugs and you're looking to just swing for the fence, you've got to find 1 4 or 5 pounder to really anchor that bag, to have any shot in hell of doing it. It's It's such a weird place. You can throw a freaking Ned rig all day and you have a chance of getting in the top 20 because there's so many stupid 1 to 2 pound spots in that place. It's abhorrent how many of those stinky little fish there are.
The BFL I fished this past weekend, that was my biggest fish was a spot. I had one over 3. I think I had like 11 pounds, 5 ounces, something like that. But my biggest fish was a spot. It was like a 3-pounder.
That's insane, dude. Now we have to turn to the James. So what has your relationship been with the James River this year?
Oh, it's the first year I've ever fished it in the spring. Like anytime I have fished the James, it's been from June to October. And I love fishing at that time of year. I mean, it's been good to me too. So, but this is the first year that I literally fished it almost the whole month of April, excluding the off limits period for the Bass Regional. So like we had the BASS Federation tournament the first weekend of April, and then it went off limits, I think, on like the Tuesday following it. And it went off limits, and then I was up there whenever the official practice started. I finished third in the BFL on Saturday. I got in my truck and drove straight to the James River and practiced for 3 days. But the first go around up there, I had a 7-pounder in practice. And I got on one stretch of bank, literally with like an hour left to practice. And I shook off a 6, 2 4s, and probably another one like 3 on one stretch in like 10 minutes. And I was like, I'm coming straight here. Do you think it was 5 people? I was boat 13. Do you think 5 of them people went there? I mean, I'm talking like I was boat 13. I told Daddy, I was like, we got this. I was like, we're going to be the first ones in there. Nope. It was 5 people in front of me. And I told him, I was like, there's no way they know them fish are in there because of the way the tide was when we seen them. It was literally the last hour of practice and the tide was down. And I went in there throwing a swim bait with no hook on it and just sit there and watched them just come up and engulf it. And I'm like, I told Daddy, I was like, there's no way they know them fish are in there. And I literally went back in there the first day and ended up catching one like 4 on the first day in the afternoon, like after everybody had fished it. And
it is the most, I still believe it's the hardest thing to practice for is tidal versus bugs or whatever, because you can still graph and find the damn stump at Kerr. But with tidal, it could be a high tide deal. It could be a low tide deal. Unless you fish that area through the whole tide swing, you're not going to know when that thing is on. And that makes it really frustrating if you're not a local to know, like, okay, this bank here that's high and dry, in 2 hours, it's going to be the shit. You know, that's something you can't practice for unless you've been there and experienced it.
Yeah. Like the Bass Regional tournament, I had some decent bites in practice. Like I was down in the Chickahominy, and I pulled up to a dock, and I mean, the tide is like ripping through this dock, and it's done come on down low. I probably made 20 casts under this dock. And I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I know there's a fish here. I know it is. I know it is. And I reach down and pick up a wacky rig and skip up under there, sitting there shaking it. Line goes, thump. When I set the hook, it's like a 7-pounder. The thing runs me around like 4 pilings and is like out on the front of the dock jumping and finally breaks me off. And I'm like, okay. I was like, well, this may be a deal right here. But I never could get back to that stretch on the right tide that I wanted to fish it. Like every time I went over there, somebody was there, like on the correct tide that you needed to be on it.
That's wild, man. But yeah, I mean, that's tidal fishing for sure. And the James has been weird this year, man. I mean, I remember a friend that like he caught a flounder up in Richmond. Like it definitely because of the salinity is really pushing up this year. It's crazy.
Yeah, we've had an odd spring with not a lot of rain. It really hasn't. I mean, bugs come up one time, and I mean they drained it straight down, like, you know, fast. But I mean, like sometimes in the spring, man, I remember years to where, I mean, it would come up in February and it would not come down until into May. it would stay up the whole spring, and that's just because we had so much rain.
And it really affects tidal fisheries in these rivers too. It's weird because like you'll have your lakes clear up, you'll have your tidal water fisheries where you lose a lot of fishing habitat because you're gonna see it where the bass are gonna get concentrated. Potomac Creek, Nanjemoyne, certain places on the James, same thing. York River, Rappahannock, but yeah. And with that said, how these tournaments are being won, where it's not usually the James proper, maybe it's more like the Chick River. Yeah, it's just, and it'll be interesting to see when you have a couple of these bigger tournaments that are going to start going out of the James and the Potomac later on this year, how that's going to play.
Yeah, I mean, if it stays the same way it is now, I mean, you're going to have a lot of salt intrusion in a lot of them areas. And I know from my experience on tidal fisheries, when you start to get salt intrusion, them fish go as far back as they can get. When it gets really bad, I mean, you be over there with a paddle trying to get to where they are.
Mm-hmm. What's your next big tournament you have coming up?
I am fishing the Eastern North Carolina Bass Challenge on Gaston this weekend.
So for a little, I guess, future foreboding, when this thing releases the week after, what do you think you're going to need to win it? You'll
need 20 plus.
Really?
Yeah. This past weekend, I finished third in the catch rail. I should have had 25 pounds. Like, no lie. I end up having like 15 something. Finished third. I should have had 25 pounds.
That's insane for that lake to be saying that.
Yeah. Let's just say that I watched 3 fish eat my bait and broke all 3 of them off. Like, knew exactly how big they were and everything.
Damn, dude. Why do the weights fluctuate there so much?
It's going to get tough towards it. After this swing, I really feel like what I figured out will hold for another week or so. But when it starts to get hot, these fish will go offshore onto the, out into the channel on these flats and all that stuff.
It just reminds me kind of like a Lake Anna deal, where Lake Anna, you have 2.5 months in dead nuts winter that you can catch 35 to 40 pounds. And then all of a sudden the weights plummet to like 18 or 20 and you can win with it. It's crazy how it seems like this is the same deal where there's a window that you can have success and then it just drops off the face of the earth.
Yeah. And I don't think Gaston, like a Lake Anna, I mean, what they catch, I've never fished Lake Anna. I mean, they catch 7, 8, 9 pounders in there, correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
I've seen one 8-pounder weighed in this year at Gaston. And I know Rick Morris, he caught like a 9 something like back last fall.
Holy shit. Here.
But I just don't think the numbers of those big giant ones, there's a lot of 4 to 7 pounders. You know what I'm saying? That 6 range and stuff. There's a whole lot of them fish in here, but when you start to creep up to that 7 to 9 to 10 pounders, I don't think it's very many in here. I don't think the numbers are there.
Do you think you have a better chance of catching a 4 or 5 pounder at Gaston or Bugs?
Gaston. Gaston. Oh my gosh, yeah. I went yesterday afternoon for 45 minutes before dark and caught a 3 and a 5 within sight of the boat ramp where I put the boat in at. So
I mean, with the water willow and lily pads, it just sounds like it's a more fun place to vacation would be Gaston versus Bugs, just from a fun aspect.
Oh yeah, there's a pile of fish in this place. I mean, if you wanted to show up and have a fish fry and catch some spots, I mean, you can freaking wear them out. You can take them all. It's so many like 1 pound to 3 pound spots in this place. It's unreal, honestly. I remember one day last fall, I sat in one place and caught over 100 fish in like an hour and a half.
Holy
every one
God.
Every one of them was from like 1 pound to 3 pound.
Good God, man, that's insane. I mean, do spots even factor into your game plans at all this time of year, or is it just you hunt green ones?
Yeah, you need to be looking for a largemouth. The spots. I have some experience fishing like spotted bass lakes. I've been to Lanier, I've been to Hartwell, I've been to Smith Lake in Alabama. Spots just act completely different during the spawn. but like once you start getting into the summertime, the fish really start to move offshore. They really start to, target structure and stuff like that, and you can catch some big spots. And Gaston has a lot of docks on it too, so a lot of them big spots get caught out from under these docks. The deeper docks.
That's interesting. Yeah, guys. I mean, again, I said it for a while there. Gaston is underappreciated just in general. If you want to go vacation somewhere, just have fun, Gaston is the place to be. It's a lot more stable. It feels like you're going to have a good time. There's different techniques and ways you can catch them there versus bugs right now. Plus, it's just not as pressured compared to bugs with the ungodly fishing, amount of tournaments.
Yeah, the fishing pressure on Gaston is a lot less than bugs. Now, you will get the pleasure boat pressure, starting very soon. I went out last Friday afternoon, and I mean, it was a ton of people on the lake.
Really?
Just riding. I mean, nobody was fishing. It was just a bunch of people out riding around,
That's insane. Ben, now I really appreciate you coming on, just giving us kind of a look behind the curtain of what you've been doing this year. I mean, absolutely, guys. Again, like over 28 tournaments fished, cashing and checking over 20 of them, a couple of wins, including the ABA, and then the third place at the BFL. I mean, where do you go from here, and how do you keep up momentum? Because you said, and this is an interesting thing, we all get into a good bite. You're in a good bite right now. You said the bite's going to close. How do you start looking for the next one? Or is it just when it's up, it's like, well, shit, and now you just hope to get into another deal?
There's one thing that I have learned over the last few years, and that is fail fast. literally, man, if you've been catching them one way and you know what kind of structure the fish is setting on, like if there's a bank bite, you throw your bait at 5 of those places, and you don't catch one, dude, it ain't going on. Like when it goes through your mind, like there should be a fish there. There should be a fish there. And it doesn't happen, dude, it ain't happening. More likely it's not. You just got to abandon it and, find something else.
That should be a bumper sticker. Fail fast. Yeah. Don't beat your head against a window. Look for what's there. I mean, if they're going to bite, they're going to bite. I think we do overestimate that forcing a bite, so to speak. If once you find the deal, it's not going to be that hard.
Yeah, that's one thing I've learned with live scope. Dude, I will make like 2 casts at a fish, and if it doesn't bite, I'm going to another one. I'm not sitting there pestering it. I'm gonna throw 2 or 3 times. If I don't catch the fish in 2 or 3 casts, I'm going to find one that's going to bite.
Yeah, live scope has taught me so much about that, especially with smallmouth and stuff, where if you're in an area and you don't see life, you can't. Why are you there? Don't waste the time. Don't assume that they're going to show up especially if offshore stuff specifically, or even activity. I mean, I fished some lake tournaments this year when it was a bait deal, or it was last year. I'm sorry. And you go into an area of the lake and there's just no activity. Everything's dead, and you can tell. Your brain is telling you it's dead, and the scope is telling you it's dead. At that point, if you stay in that spot, it's on you for being stupid and not pulling up the trolling motor and just leaving, because you're getting your hunch is being clarified as correct based on what the scope is telling you. So get the hell out of there.
Yeah. Me and somebody was talking about that today, man. A lot of the big spots that I've caught out of Gaston, you don't see them on a live scope.
They sunk to the bottom.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They're just certain little areas, little hard spots they'll set on.
And that's more of my jam with the smallmouth up where I'm at, because you're just looking for boulders. And you look at a boulder in 20 to 30 feet of water, you pitch a drop shot out of there, and all of a sudden it'll come off the bottom. If you didn't do that, you wouldn't have known there's a fish there.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest part about that is just it slows down your practice, because you do have to pick apart which boulders have them and mark them and then go from there. You can't just quickly do the whole, there's a pile of them here, mark it and move on type of deal.
Yeah, I think at certain times it's a little easier with spots, because there's going to be more than likely, it's going to be more than one there. So like when your bait falls down and like 20 fish do this, and you're like, oh shit, yeah, we got to come back over here.
That's the other crazy thing is their vision. This is another thing Scope taught me. It's like you're on Anna and you throw a bait out in 30 feet of water and you see something come off the bottom. And it's like, you saw that? You heard that? Like I didn't think you could hear something like that in that distance, but I think they have better vision and they can feel things a lot better than we ever gave them credit for.
Yeah. Another thing about Scope is like you hear people talk about like the live scope like scares the fish. Like you shine it at them and it scares them. I'm not going to say that's a complete myth, but I feel like certain days for some reason, like fish are in that mood. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, dude, literally the biggest fish that I've caught off live scope was almost a 9-pounder, and it ate my bait like 10 foot in front of the boat. I mean, you see what I'm saying? I mean, that fish did not give a crap about me. He just wanted to eat my bait. So I don't know. I feel like it's a complete myth, but there are certain days like, and spots are really spooky too. Like you'll shine your bait, you'll shine your trolling motor over there and make like one cast, and as soon as the bait hits the water, they go straight to the bottom. They just don't want to eat.
But if you throw something weightless, do they have the same personality? It's like, is it they don't want to eat, or they're just gun shy because they've been beaten for 38 days straight because there's a college tournament there? Like, you know,
I don't know. That's a good question. That brings up a good point. Maybe the next time I'll pull out my pink trick worm and dangle that thing around over there. He ain't seen one of them in a while.
I had a guy on talking about that from Hartwell where they did the there was an open there and there's a college tournament, and then they had their tournament. And he said, like, any bait you threw over those cane piles, they immediately scattered because they have seen every bait for the past 3 weeks. And then he went with like a weightless Cinco for just shits and giggles, and it didn't spook him. And so it made his wheels turn. It's like, oh, so do they get gun shy? And it's like, why wouldn't they? A deer gets gun shy after the first couple of weeks of rifle season. Like, it makes sense when you have these mega tournaments, they probably get a little funky for a couple of days after.
I'll tell you one thing I do, like when the bite gets really tough, like scoping, is I really downsize the bait and I downsize my line. Like I will go all the way to a 3/32 ounce head with a 2.5 inch bait and 6-pound line. And I have caught some giant fish on that stuff, like big stripers. I mean, dude, it catches them. You got to be careful with spots though, because when they eat your bait, they've got that row of teeth in the front lip up there. They'll clip that 6-pound line off, especially a big one. Like that's a big mean spot, like 5-pounder. Yeah, he can clip you off. You'll catch every damn striper you hook though.
It doesn't make any sense.
Stupid things.
Yeah, it's always the fish that you want that's going to snap your line. But I mean, I've been covering the Richmond crappie group this year, and the amount of big fish that they catch is stupid on those retarded little crappie jigs. And they'll be like, "Yeah, in practice we caught another 5-pounder with a stupid little crappie jig while we're out there." Like it's crazy that these big fish will eat those peanuts.
Oh yeah, I caught an 8-pounder at Smith Mountain last year on one.
That's got to be a hell of a ride.
It was like an 8.3. It had a bigger one with it. It had a bigger fish with it.
Holy shit.
I was like, eat it. Just take it from him. Just eat it. Because it was like literally right in the nose of his mouth.
Oh my God.
And he was like swimming right beside of him. It was like a 10-pounder. He was like swimming right beside of him.
Holy God. That's got to be a fun fight.
Oh yeah. When I hooked that fish, he like come up just wallering out there. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I got him on 6-pound line too. I'm like, holy shit. I ain't got a net in the boat either.
Did you break off or did you land him?
No, I caught him. It's like 8.3.
Ben, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Is there anything that I can help promote for you, or anything we can advertise?
I mean, other than like my custom tackle, I make jigs and chatterbaits and everything else. So, and that's one of them right there.
Ooh, pretty.
It's definitely a different chatterbait than you buy in the store. And it's because of the distance between the blade and the head.
Dude,
that's been the juice. Nice. That's been a juice bait right there. But it's over with now.
If people want to order your chatterbaits, because up where I'm at, chatterbait is forever. So if people want to order it, where can they do that?
The best place to reach me at's on Facebook Messenger. Just look me up, shoot me a message.
Okay, cool. And then, yeah, guys, I'll put a link to that in the episode description. Go check out all of his chatterbaits. He's got some really, really good jigs too. Ben, yeah, good luck in the rest of your events this week. Hopefully you'll be coming back on here with another big W. And then, yeah, guys, like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time on Fishing the DMV. Bye. You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.